something that your son learned from you while growing up?
My name is Ed Gordon. I'm Aaron Gordon's dad, who plays with the Orlando Magic. One of the things that I have 3 kids, 2 boys. My oldest son was with the Philadelphia 76ers for a while, and just past season with the Professional Basketball Players. My daughter also played basketball for Harvard. So we have a basketball family. And one of the things that I try to instill in them all is to one, have a passion for whatever you're doing, but most of all, to win with grace and also lose with grace. So you see, what I mean by that is with all that enthusiasm that you put into winning and how happy you feel, I understand that the other side to that is losing. So when you lose, as you will lose, you still have to lose with grace. So when you win, don't go and rub it in anybody's face because you would want that. But when you lose, keep your head up and know that, the sun's going to rise tomorrow and just try and take it as a lesson.
My name is Charles Paul. My son is Chris Paul, plays for the Rockets. The first thing I taught him and his brother, they was 2 years apart, was respect. Let them know who was in charge of the house. And that was me and his mom. It didn't matter which way it went. Some things that she let them do that I didn't like, I let all of them know. And for some things that I let them do that she didn't like, she let us know. One thing we didn't allow in our house never to be disrespectful. So that was the first thing that we taught our 2 boys, respect.
Hi, I'm Marvin Williams Sr. I have to go along with Mr. Paul here because I think we both grew up in the same kind of environment. I think with Marvin, the main thing, first thing I made sure that he respected was his mother. And I didn't care. I always told him, he lived with me sometimes, he lived with his mom. But I always told him the biggest fear he ever had was I got the phone call from his mom. Because once I got the phone call from his mom, there was no conversation. I was going to take care of the rest. And the other thing I mainly taught him is I've always told him if you start something, finish it. It doesn't matter how bad the situation looks while you're doing it, but you stick to it because at the end of the day, it's going to build character. And then you're going to realize that what you thought was tough really wasn't all that bad. Tough it out. That's what we got to teach our young kids to just respect our parents and believe what we tell them and trust them.
My name is Karl. My son is Karl Anthony Town, Minnesota Timberwolves. I agree with all 3 of my partner comments there, but I always taught my son to appreciate everything, appreciate every day, because nothing is guaranteed. Because God is good, and he understands that now. Just real quick, my son played every game in the NBA. He was on his way to a game one day, just watched another player. 18-wheeler crushed the car. He walked away, and I think when you see something like that, you appreciate things in life because anything could have went wrong, but he was able to walk away. He's still playing. I tell him every day, going back from that the education that you're getting, appreciate what you're learning and what you're given to you mind-wise. I could honestly sit there and say, my son is one of the best players in the NBA, just like these fathers here players are, but the one thing that he always garnered is he's very educated. He's going back to school. Despite everything he says, his main thing in life is to be a doctor. The NBA was a gift, something that he was that blessed to be, but his real dream is to go to the hospital and visit his mother for his mother. And I've been gifted. My one daughter is a neurosurgeon in Boston. My other son works for HBO, and my daughter works for the Board of Education. So when you talk about things important, my kids have strived to understand that their education and their value, and what you bring to the table is what's going to be rewarded in life. And I've been rewarded with 4 very intelligent kids who stayed out of the trials and tribulations of the street. I worked for the state all my life. I've seen the good and bad. I've seen kids that come to my program and end up with 3 squares a day. So you have to understand something. You're in this world, and basketball is great for our kids, but what they learn in life to me is more important because when that ball drops, at least I know my kids are set in what their real careers are. So,
hello everybody, I'm Stephenson. After the respect, and after I told them the respect and
be a good person, and things like that. I think one of the biggest things I taught him was something like riding a bike. You gotta have the courage to get on the bike and ride it. And, kids are scared, and those precious moments you never get back. So I have two sons. I taught them both how to ride bikes. I taught them how to catch, just the basic stuff. Nothing too far-fetched. And I taught them about spending time with family and staying together.
My name is Anthony Randolph. My son was drafted to go to the state, played in New York for a little while, was overseas, went to Spain. Right now we're real Madrid. Accountability, to stand on his own feet, to protect his sister and his brother, to build his dreams, stand there and just be a man, which everybody has a different definition of a man. The proudest moment I was when he got drafted or anything else. I was with him at a dinner where he was having a business meeting. He took over the meeting, he made a decision, told people, hey, this is not going to happen. That was my proudest moment. I agree with Lance, being there was wonderful. A lot of people think that being there is more for them, for us to be there for them. But the fact that every now and then we look up and you see at a game, or we call him, or he called him, it's working. I wouldn't miss that, but it takes over everything else. So accountability.
Thank you. Being a father in front of not just the neighborhood, not just the church, for those who do go to church, and the community, but being a father in front of a whole country in terms, and sometimes the whole world, what is the hardest thing about being a dad in the position that you are in? And how do you deal with those challenges?
It took me a while to realize that, in fact, I was on the world stage once he was playing. Because during his rookie year, I would go to games. I would get calls during the game and after the game. Friends said, man, what are you doing up there? You're freaking out. And so I had to realize that eyes were on me. I'm very passionate about the kids. I feel what they feel. So if they're losing, having a hard time, somebody doing wrong, sometimes I kind of, go through it and react, facial expressions, might say some unchoice words, not knowing that the camera is right on it. And so I had to realize that I was representing them. And so I had to do it professionally, like I said, like I taught them, they win gracefully, lose gracefully, And I had to realize that the camera, whether it was on me or not, I had to, represent them, in a professional way. But hopefully the camera's not on me most of the time, but sometimes it is, and you never know what it is. So I had to, settle down and just, stay on my even keel and, just let the cards fall where it may. That's my biggest struggle.
I ain't have to worry about that because the camera was always on my wife. The camera was always on my wife. I didn't have that problem. My wife could be standing right beside me, and if she don't introduce me, they don't know who I am. They do now, but they didn't. But yeah, me and my wife, some of the strangest parts about being, like I said, they knew my wife. We've been many places, and like I said, usually I can be standing right there beside her. But I didn't have any camera problems and stuff like that. I'm passionate about the basketball stuff. Y'all know my boy been in the news for various stuff. All that kind of stuff. Y'all ain't never seen me on TV. The only time I see me on TV is when I'm going to jerk my son up. But like I said, we have been blessed to today that my little old son is able to play basketball, and he loves it and has a passion for it, and stuff he doing is put on my hip, man, just like a me. He's gonna do certain things at certain times, and I can't answer for him. So that's the other thing that us parents, we have to listen to people criticize our children even when they're doing good. And that's the toughest part of being a father, listening to these raps. I heard this rapper say, my son was the dirtiest player in the NBA. If I could have got to him, that's when y'all would have seen me on TV. Other than that, my son is very passionate about it, and just like Karl tell you, him and Karl talk, him and all these guys talk, but when he get on the floor, it's a different monster. I told him he's a nice guy compared to me, but I wouldn't change for anything with the cameras. I always got an answer for them. If they want to ask me something about my son, I tell them. But nothing negative. It just goes to territory. Y'all know. I ain't even gonna call it fake news because that's somebody else. I'm gonna call it.
To be honest with you, as far as it goes with me and the issues with the media when my son's in the league, honestly, I really don't care. I don't care. I never cared nothing about the media. At the end of the day, I'm his dad. So at the end of, as far as I'm concerned, the rest of the world and all that media stuff, they can go out the window. All I know is my son, that's my son, and I'm always be his daddy. I don't care if he falls on the floor, if he calls me on the floor, that's what I'm going at. The media look at it how they want to look at it. As far as, the media will say stuff like Mr. Paul said. There was a story where we had a death in the family and we was in Atlanta. And this really hurt my son. It really bothered me because I really realized at that moment, because we never had any issues with the media, I realized at that moment how cruel people can be. We was at a funeral. My son's little nephew had passed, and the media started a story saying that Marvin wanted to get traded out of Atlanta, and we had never won. Because generally, if he's gonna say something like that, I'll be the first to know before his agent did. And we never had that conversation. And for the media, during that time, when we was grieving, to come out and say that Marvin requested a trade, I realized then and there that they wasn't playing by the rules. And so I found out who the guy was. And like Mr. Paul said, I made it a point. I went to the game, sat beside him. I had some conversation with him. Sure, I'm serious. I had a nice little conversation with him. But the media, it's tough. It's tough growing up, and sometimes I see how people get caught up in that celebrity stuff, social media and stuff like that. My son we don't do no social media. That's the first thing. I don't do no. He won't allow me to have a face page. His mama won't have a face, and he don't have a face. You know I'm out the loop. Yeah, so we don't do none of that stuff. He's real low key, and I like it like that too. So yeah, as far as the media goes, at the end of the day, I don't care about none of that stuff. All I care about my child. He's a father's man, and he's a God's man. I'm still have the same feelings of love for him.
In terms of the media, I'm with Charles Paul. They don't even know who I am, and because my wife likes to sit at the bottom, I like to sit way at the top of the second deck with the normal people, be in the crowd because I'm there to watch the game and observe my son. So after the game, people understand something. Our sons need feedback from the game. See, I'm the real. Mom's gonna say, "Oh, you had a great game." You were terrible. Because you have to have that kind of relationship with your son, because honesty is the only way it's going to work. And so, the media don't know who I am, except when I go down there and Karl's leaving, and Karl puts his arm around me and says, we walk out together, so I said, because I don't talk to anybody. Because I don't need no type of popularity. I don't need to have my name in the paper. I don't need none of that, because it's not about me. It's about my son. If you want to interview my son. But what people fail to realize is, the media is bad on our kids because they say false stuff. You don't understand something. I don't know. My son, I may be the father of the youngest son at the table here. You understand that? My son just turned 23 years old. He's still a kid. And he's going to come, people say comforting your son is the best thing because, he needs that support. And I think a lot of this media understands that the stuff you write, our kids will look us in the face and say they good, but we know our kids. We know they're not good because they don't want to be the ones to say anything. So when it comes to the media, they can't interview me. They can interview my son, but if it's a family thing, I'm gonna have to say something. But my biggest pet peeve with the media is saying negative stuff and have to comfort my my son or any of my kids when it's hard. And I went through that a whole season. Everybody knows I had to cover my son for a good year through a summer. And people feel that my son was not going to sign his max deal because he wasn't happy where he was. But you know, in life, you got to overlook the negative things and do what you do. Your job is to provide for yourself. So he made the decisions, but there was many nights, come home from games, my son called me from California at 2 in the morning, not realizing I'm in Jersey, I'm sleeping, you know. But our kids don't understand time when they're upset. Boom. But you got to take them calls. You have to answer to your kids because you're the only support they got. You can't not tell your kid it's going to be okay. I mean, I did it for 9 months. And my kid turned out all right. He's doing fine now, but you know what? That was my only problem. If you're going to say something, and I'm like, Mr. Paul, don't say fake news, say the truth. If you want to interview me, and I'm like, I say, look, I'm real ratchet. Seriously, I grew up in a project. And I keep my opinion to myself. Because another thing you guys got to realize, what we say is a reflection of our kids. We can't get out there and start wilding out. Because they're not going to interview Karl Anthony. They're going to interview Karl Anthony Towns and say, your dad is crazy. Did you know that? And you have to, I mean, it may sound like this, we got to walk a certain line because our kids is in the limelight and they don't need anything else to come to light. So as a parent, I stay at the cameras, I don't talk. I leave the arena before the game is over and meet them in the back because that's what comes. Because people are always listening. I'm going to tell you the littlest thing will be like this big when you see them. And all you said was, wow, you smell. Everybody smells now, you know? I mean, it sounds crazy, but it is. You understand that you can't say anything. You can't talk to your kids until you get home in the house. Then you can really voice your opinion. Because anything said is misconstrued by the media. And that's my own thing.
We grew up in New York City. And, you know, so we here at the media home. So media was never a real big deal with us. So I really don't have much to say on that. I try to stay out of his way. And I'm still young myself. And I try to stay out of trouble and do the right thing. That's about it. I just try to stay out of trouble, and I tell him the same thing. And it's a learning. We're learning every day. It's been some high points, and it's been some real low points. And what I got out of it is that we survived and we live in to see another day. And we just want to continue to, try to make it in this world. Because this world, you're not prepared for this. I told myself, hey, we're going to be famous one day, but I was just talking. I'm doing what a dad's supposed to say. We going to the NBA, and it actually happened. I was like, oh, shit. Our next step is trying to continue to stay in the NBA and keep it going. And I tell them that let's just keep it going. Doing some good things. Try to do more good things than bad things.
I didn't have that first. There was an incident last summer. There was an incident last summer where they were playing in Europe. It was Porzingis and my son. And my son told Porzingis, shut up. Hey, come on. If you want me, come get me. And he got a bunch of death threats and all that. N-words, all kinds of stuff. That was probably the worst we ever had in the game. We basically just, did what we could, company from overseas. We couldn't be there. It's just amazing that a simple gesture turned into, oh, if you ever come to New York, we're going to kill you. We're going to do this. You are in, you're this. So it does get blown out of proportion sometimes.
So here's the question. that makes you feel good that you are his dad?
Yeah, that's.
We're gonna move it now.
Yeah, we're gonna move through that. One of the things, my kids do a lot of amazing things. My wife always says that I always see my kids with daddy goggles on. Maybe I do. But currently, he's launching a coding school in Orlando. My wife and me are starting a school to teach kids how to teach underprivileged kids how to do coding, computer coding, and it's a month-long program that they're setting up, a month-long school. And they've got we got the NBA involved, Nike, Disneyland, and a whole bunch of people that have got a bunch of exhibits set up and field trips to take the kids behind the scenes, so you can show them how lights work with everything. Basically coding. I'm not that computer literate, so I appreciate what they're doing. And basically, they're setting up a 3-year program, and hoping that after that 3 years, one of the school districts will pick it up and keep it going.
The thing that my son did was make his brother his manager. Because my son graduated from South Carolina, USC, South Carolina, but he went to Hampton his first year as a walk-on. But he played basketball for 3 years at USC, and we asked my son, did he want to do it? Because he was going to be an assistant basketball coach. And Chris asked him, told him, we asked him, did you want to go with your brother? And not be the party man, but be his business man. That was one of the best things outside of basketball. We're taking his brother and still together today, and that's what you see in the commercials and all that stuff. That's his brother. So he called our foundation, the Chris Paul Family Foundation, because my wife does stuff, I do stuff, his wife does stuff, and my daughter-in-law do stuff. So that's why he named it the Chris Paul Family Foundation. All right.
Probably my son does a lot of amazing things, but the one thing I think that's probably the most, maybe even his mom, the most proud of, he, as an 18-year-old, he was the number 2 pick in the draft in 2005, so he left school after 1 year. And the deal was, if you're going to leave school after 1 year, you had to promise us you was going to get your college degree, because I had mine and his mother had hers. So he did it, and I stayed on him every day, every summer, all summer. But I didn't realize during the season, while he was playing games, he was taking classes online. So it took him 10 years to get his college degree, but the day I watched him walk across the University of North Carolina stage and get his degree from the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, probably one of the proudest days of my life. Because even though it took him 10 years, he started something again and he finished it. And he's actually the first player, and I think the only player in NCAA history that's ever was a one and done and went back and got his college degree.
One thing I'm proud of is that my son is not neglecting his education, despite being #1 pick in the NBA in 2015. He stayed the course, so he's going to get his degree. So to me, just knowing that despite everything, the education values that we installed in him are still being applied today. So to me, that's what it is. Just knowing that he never is taking for granted that education is still priority #1.
One of the biggest things, my son's done a lot of things that I'm proud of, but one of the biggest things that he's done recently, last year, I don't know if everybody know, but I was my son's agent, manager, my wife. We did the family thing. My wife was like his secretary, his aide, and I'm the aide. So he actually fired us. I've been running this career since, most of you guys know me from Brooklyn, since he was born. I did everything from tie his shoes, to bring him to games, to talk to all of these coaches. stood up as a man and said, Dad, I want to handle my own stuff. And I was like, what? I was surprised, but I respected how he felt about it. And, you know, this past year, him being on the Lakers, that was all him and his new team and his new management. And it's fun to watch him handling stuff, and nobody calls me no more. But besides that, I'm real proud of him for just stepping up and handling his own stuff now. And, you know, he comes to me instead of me telling him what to do. He'll ask for my advice now and things like that. So he's really finally starting to grow.
Say for me, it's the stresses of fatherhood that he's dealing with right now. He just had his second child. He's playing games, going home, being daddy, jumping in, changing diapers, getting the food on. And it's nice to hear them call every day. Oh, they driving me crazy. Why did I do this? Same thing I
I have a question, like say if you have multiple children and they all have talents, how do you be supportive of all of them at the same time? You know, you might have one that's, say, playing basketball that might have a game in Orlando, but you have a daughter that wants to be a gymnast. So how do you make time to be supportive for all of them at the same time?
Man, my wife, she's not twins, so she had to go one way and I had to go the other way. CJ, when they was in college, well, when they played AAU, but when they played high school ball, started there. I coached at high school, so my wife went with Chris, and no, let me see, what happened? Yeah, I coached Chris, and my wife went to see CJ. And then when CJ was in college in Spartanburg, one of us would be at these events. Same thing when they was young. Both of us couldn't be at the same place at the same time. We had somebody in the family that went wherever they was at. I mean, we did football, basketball, and baseball. And then I told them to choose two because it was running us too much. But just gotta, like your daughter, she gonna wanna see you sometime. So you need to be with her sometime. And then your wife need to be with her sometime. I mean, you just have to.
Because I had three, so definitely divide and conquer. But then also, if you could develop a network with some of the other parents who are on some of the other teams, and if you can find someone who's trustworthy, you know, who you feel like you can let your kid go with. Because if there's only two of you and you have more than two kids, it's just gonna have to do the old juggling act and depend on, you know, that whole takes a village to raise a kid kind of.
Basketball, and I really don't like sports. Some encouragement for him. I support him, and I'm here to support him. But I don't like basketball, and I need some. I have to learn or something. I don't know. As a parent, I need to know what to do as a single mom as well.
But to all you parents, I'm gonna say this to you guys based on my life experience being an NBA dad. There's a lot bigger world out there than being an NBA dad, guys. I'm being truthful with you. There's a lot bigger world. Your kid, there's so many options your kids have. Even if right now they may like basketball, by the time you turn 16, he may like girls. So then you can get on about basketball. You know what you gotta do is keep them grounded and keep them focused. The main thing for them is to not let them. I've seen kids that like I said, had in the Bronx. They cannot leave the Bronx. They went to North Carolina and they went to college and come back to the Bronx for what? There's a big world out there. Let's teach your kids to explore themselves and get to know themselves and open some more doors for themselves. We can do more than be athletes. Doctors, lawyers, finance advisors, all kinds of stuff. Let's start teaching our kids that there's more avenues than doing those things. That's the most important thing I can tell you from my life experience as an NBA dad. I would never, right now, if I had another kid, basketball would probably be the last thing I would encourage him to do.
My mom was a single parent. Me and my brother played ball. My mother only seen me play one game. But I knew she loved me and she stood behind me no matter what. And that's the biggest thing.
Yeah, just a
When your son playing a game and you have a bad day, one game or two games, and you watch it, what do you say to your son when you have the opportunity to speak to him?
Mr. Johnson, that terrible performance that they just did. I mean, hey, you can do better. You know you can do better. Hey, it will get better. And just like I said before, you're not always going to be perfect. Because it's a long season and competition, very stiff. So the good thing about the NBA is you really don't have time to dwell on the last game because you've got some all-stars coming at you the next day or so. So you just got to keep your head up, try to learn from what you did, and, try not to make the same mistake.
I got a little different philosophy from God. When my son loses a game or plays bad, he knows he played bad. When I pull it back and I look at him, he knows he played bad. I know he played bad. And the whole gym knows he played bad. So why do I love him? Let's go eat. Let's go eat. Yeah, you play bad. He knows 20,000 people know you play bad. Tomorrow comes, deal with it.
Can I ask that we just give ourselves a round of applause? I know there's a lot of questions in the room. Hopefully, maybe on the way to the food, you'll get it in. But my time is done. I want to thank you again for what you do. I want to thank you and be grateful for the blessing that has fallen upon your house and the fact that you are exemplars for your sons so that they could go over. So with that said, I think
let's give it up again for the fathers and the moms. Thank you very much. One of the things that we do at Real Dads Network is that we have once a month we have a Real Dads Club where men can come and men talk to men and really have real talk conversations. So I want to thank you for having a real conversation with us today. Also, just in terms of what's going on, one of the things that we do, we try to provide resources for families and fathers. So outside, we do have some organizations that have resources. We have Howard's Local Development. We have Lena's Library. She has a bunch, Lena's right there, she has a bunch of books on sports and basketball that she's giving away. This is her library. She's giving away to kids. So make sure, yes, it's free. So make sure your kid gets a book from Lena's Library. We also have ECS Safe Sleep. They're outside. Also, Forestdale, a fatherhood organization, CUNY Fatherhood, and also Child Support Agency out there in terms of getting information about child support. Trevor's right there. Please, the reason why we have this is to provide people with resources. So please use our resources. And also, a person that's been very helpful to me, he had to leave. Dream Incorporated, Corey Faulkner, helped me in terms of promoting the event as well. And let's also give it up to Ron Ivey. He's the one who really put this all together. So I want to thank you for contributing to Real Dads Week. And I'm going to turn it over to you to close it out.
Thank you, Derek. I have to say that thank you to all the parents, the fathers. They come from all over the country, came to New York, spent their whole money, and it's all about sacrifice, right? I can't do this without introducing you to my son, Royale Ivey, who graduated from the school. The assistant coach for the New York Knicks at the moment. What I learned from Royale is that life is I learned so much from him, my son. If I'm open to what I see, he tells me what needs to be done without saying anything. And I also learned from him, he's coaching for the Knicks now. So it's like, basketball is not a destination. Your life starts when you start playing basketball. Because that's when the mortgage and all that stuff comes in. But right now, we're going to close at 8, but we have food over here. We're going to bring your children in, enjoy, talk to us for a little while before you go. And I hope you had a great time. Thank you.
Yeah.